When Jonathan and Charlotte performed on Britain's Got Talent in 2012, they became famous all over the world. But after becoming famous all over the world, the two broke up. Their fans have been asking what really took place between them. Did they fight behind closed doors, or did their fame make them fight? Insider information has finally shown what happened after years of guesswork. Fans have known the whole time. After hearing Jonathan Antoine's powerful voice in the duo Jonathan and Charlotte, you might think he was born into a family of opera singers. But that's not true. Jonathan's parents aren't good at singing classical music. His dad was a police officer, and his mom ran a home. Jonathan was a shy kid, but it was because of something that not even his parents knew about. That's why he had trouble with social situations and lacked confidence when he was around other people. Aside from that, Jonathan's life was as normal as it could be until he started West Hatch High School when he was 11. He met Charlotte Giaconelli at West Hatch. Charlotte was the same age as him, but she was not the same as him. She was friendlier, full of confidence all the time, and good at getting along with others. Jenny Ewington, the singing coach at their school, and Jeanette, the head of music, noticed that the two became close because of their ability. Ewington showed them how to do things, but it was clear that Jonathan was the better athlete. Jonathan's skills started to improve after Ewington taught him how to do them. That's when he felt free to sing and not worry about being judged. He quickly stopped seeing her as his teacher and started seeing her as a friend. He was at peace with music, but there was a problem that could throw him off. When Jonathan was 13, his voice broke because he was going through puberty. Ewington was ready for this though. She helped Jonathan get through this time of his growth. She trained both Jonathan and Charlotte with Jeanette. They quickly rose to the top of their school's singing list. She was better at facing the crowd than the other girl though. So that Jonathan could reach his full potential, he needed to get over being shy. Ewington also started to push him to perform at music events so that he could get over being shy when he spoke in front of a crowd. Jonathan was scared when he performed in front of the crowd at the Stratford Music Festival in 2010. But he remembered what he had learned and gave an amazing show. But he wasn't done yet. At the East London Music Festival, his voice hypnotized the crowd so much that they couldn't move. His show was so soulful that it earned him the Young Musician of the Year award. He also played at the Royal Festival Hall in London in 2011 as part of an event put on by Rotary Youth Makes Music. After what happened, Jeanette pushed him to sing in public to get over his shyness for good. He did better in front of a crowd, but singing in a show was a whole different story. But Jeanette and Ewington had something else in mind. The two were put together, and they were beautiful together. Charlotte helped Jonathan feel better about himself. She was also on a different level with Jonathan. But there was something wrong. The two of them were sure of who they were as artists and loved playing by themselves. Both of them liked different kinds of art. Jonathan really liked classical opera, while Charlotte was more interested in musical theater because she loved playing really much. They put their own tastes aside though, and made something beautiful. No matter what happened, they kept performing together and couldn't be stopped. People were mesmerized when the two of them came out on stage together. For their music tests they sang the prayer together, which was first done by Andrea Belli and Celine Dion. Their performance was so captivating that Jeanette asked them to play the same song at her church wedding. Even though they were great together, they had to break up. They began to try out for art schools when they were 14 years old. Jonathan tried out for a junior spot at London's 4 main music schools. All of the places that were interested in him said yes, but Jonathan only wanted to go to the Royal Academy of Music. He picked them out and started to train them. Charlotte went after her dream of combining her love of singing and acting by enrolling in London's arts educational schools to study musical theatre. The two stayed in touch and decided they wanted more attention. But how are they going to get it? Simon Cowell created the Got Talent series. America's Got Talent, the first show in the franchise, aired for the first time in 2006. Huge numbers of people watched the show, which inspired Simon to make Britain's Got Talent, which also did well. A singer won the first season of the show, and every year one of them was in the top 3. It gave them an idea. They were going to try out for the show. Even though they knew they would be up against the best, they didn't mind. Some people didn't believe in their talent or their skills as a pair, but they did. The judges felt the same way about Susan Boyle, who came in second place in the third season of the show in 2009. In 2012, they signed up for the sixth season of Britain's Got Talent as Charlotte and Jonathan. Soon after, they went on stage for the first time in the series. The judges didn't expect much from them though. They laughed as they looked at Jonathan, who was awkward, overweight and badly dressed. They thought he was probably too shy to talk to anyone. People thought they were about to see a show that would go horribly wrong. The two had a lot of work to do, but they had a secret tool that would help them. They knew just the song that would help them get through the auditions. They had done it twice on big events, and got it right both times. People in the crowd stopped talking when they started singing this song. The two artists took them on a magical, soulful journey that made them feel a lot of different things. When these two sang the prayer, no one could help but feel very moved. The judges, who had doubts at first, were completely mesmerized. All of the judges, even the tough Simon Cowell, were amazed when the pair finished. Simon did have a problem though. He thought Charlotte was stopping Jonathan. Remember that these two artists were used to working alone and had different musical interests. Hearing something like this might make people feel good about themselves. It might make Jonathan think he is the better artist. Simon went even stronger and told Jonathan to dump Charlotte. He even said Jonathan's voice was like the great Luciano Pavarotti's, and that he hadn't heard such a great opera voice in years. That moment was very important for Jonathan. He had to decide whether to listen to Cowell or stay with his partner. Jonathan made the choice to stay with Charlotte. He was very skilled, but he lacked the energy that Charlotte brought to the group. He wasn't sure of himself like she was. No matter how good he was, he might have to leave early without Charlotte. They kept singing together, but they couldn't get rid of what Simon said. Because Simon thought they should go their different ways, it looked like they thought the other judges would also think that way. It worked, and Charlotte started to doubt herself even though she didn't look like she was. They changed the order of their names, and are now Jonathan and Charlotte. Charlotte had a lot of stress at this point. She wasn't sure of herself for the first time in a long time, but she wasn't going to give up. Lucio Dalla's Caruso was played by her and Jonathan in the semi-final. People in the crowd and the judges went crazy for the performance. The two have somehow managed to do better than they did at the interview. Judge Alicia Dixon praised Jonathan's strong performance and praised Charlotte for coming through the stress she was under to stand tall with Jonathan. Charlotte's attention wasn't drawn to comments that Jonathan was the more skilled half of the pair, which made her happy. It was great that they stayed friends, and she told them they have a special connection. Charlotte needed to hear this, but she was right. The judges did believe she was stopping Jonathan. It was true Judge Amanda Holden agreed with what Simon Cowell said, but she also thought that she and Jonathan were meant to work together. Even though Amanda's words made Charlotte feel better, she couldn't take her thoughts off David Letterman. She was eager to hear him. The man ate what he said as she had asked. Yeah, Simon knew he was wrong too. He praised them for staying together and said he could see how well they got along, and loved how much they helped each other. Was Simon messing with their minds before? Did he want to see how they'd handle problems, or did he just want to make things interesting between them? David Williams, the last judge, liked how they showed Simon to be wrong. I fully supported them even though I didn't know what they were singing, and I called them both fantastic singers, he said. David even said they would win the finals, which they almost did. Even though it was a different level, they said the prayer again in the final, and everyone thought they would win. People cheered for them. The theater was alive with energy, but in the end they came in second place, just missing out on the win to Ashley Butler and her dog Putsy, who were too cute. Their fans were upset that they didn't win, but Charlotte didn't think that way. She was glad that she and Jonathan came in second place out of 70,000 people, and would do it again. Jonathan wasn't as excited as she was. He had a terrible pain in his heart, and his stomach hurt. They did everything they could, but they still lost. Could he have believed Charlotte made him lose? Did he also think that she was holding him back in secret? Jonathan didn't cry on stage, but he started crying as soon as he got off. To be second, he had left his comfort zone and faced his fears. He told the winners how proud he was of their work with animals, which was something he himself could never do. Jonathan couldn't help but feel sad, but he was able to snap out of it just in time for what took place next. Simon Cowell called Jonathan and Charlotte the next day. He wanted to work with them as a pair, and offered them a recording deal worth £1 million with his record label, Psycho. Even though the deal was very big, it was better for Jonathan than for Charlotte, because it didn't include musical theater, which Charlotte loved. But Jonathan stood with Charlotte, and the two of them said they were going to do musical theater together in the future. The two artists got to work right away, and put out their first record on September 24, 2012, in both the UK and the US. After a month, Simon was set on making the duo a success, and felt bad that he had suggested they break up. He told the two that he was sorry, and Charlotte finally felt like she had been righted. Now that they were famous, they were living life in the fast lane while still being teenagers. People learned more about the teens after ITV showed a program about them. Even though they were well known, the two wanted more. They were set on learning from the best artists, because they thought they weren't quite there yet. To finish their musical schooling, they went to Italy and France to attend a finishing school for talent show winners. The two got advice from Leone Maggiera, who is Luciano Pavarotti's voice coach. They also went to La Scala, Italy, to see the home of Italian opera, and took lessons in Paris from the famous tenor Rolando Villazon. Catherine Jenkins also helped them with their job searches. But no amount of advice could change their desire to go their own ways. Charlotte still wanted to work in musical theater, but it was clear that she couldn't do that as long as she was with Jonathan. After continuing to work together, the two put out their second record on October 14, 2013. It was no longer possible to avoid at this point. Talks that were not fun had to be had about the future of the pair. When they wanted to talk, Sony gave them the chance in February 2014. Sony made them an offer for a new deal, but there was one catch: they had to end their relationship. They both knew it was going to happen at this point. Both of them agreed that they were at their peak, and didn't want to do anything else. They have helped each other since they were in high school, and have worked together since then. Jonathan used to be shy, but now he's sure of himself, and eager to try new things. Charlotte had to deal with being told over and over that she wasn't as skilled as Jonathan. Instead of feeling insecure, she became more sure of her own skills. Each of them got a single record deal from Sony Classical, which they said was the best thing ever. They were also excited to be going back into the recording studio. Charlotte thought she would finally be able to try musical theater, but things didn't go as planned, as you'll see. In July 2014, she put out her first album by herself called Solitaire. As a singer, she continued to be popular. It looks like Simon was right after all. Right. Was it really the money from their deals with Sony that made them decide to break up? Would they have liked to try something new? What do you think? It's possible that there was more that wasn't said, especially given how they treated each other after they broke up. We'll talk more about that in the movie. Jonathan didn't go into the studio right away. He was now the bravest version of himself, so he chose to tour the UK before the record came out. Because of all the attention he got, he was in great demand. He started his career in the United States, and performed at the 2014 Muhammad Ali Celebrity Fight Night in Arizona, California, and Florida. He felt great, but things were just getting started. Jonathan's first record as a solo artist, Tenor, came out in October 2014, and was a huge success. Reviewers were blown away by his brilliance. One said, "Here is a new star on the vocal scene," and his first solo album attests to his miraculous talent. Jonathan didn't put out his next album until 2016, Believe. This record also got good reviews, and Jonathan's voice was called very flexible, strong enough, velvety, and creamy. In 2018, he did his first solo show in the United States. That smooth singing was wonderful. Sure, his act was amazing, but it wasn't just him who shone. So was Charlotte. She was living her dream. 4 years after they broke up, she finally got a chance to do musical theater. Her first show was The Boy in the Dress. She has been in Heather's Sunset Boulevard, with Nicole Scherzinger, and A Midsummer Night's Dream at the Royal Shakespeare Company since then. After his show in the US, Jonathan put on a 3-part concert at the Winter Garden Theatre in Canada in June 2019. He amazed the crowd with Disney songs, well-known American songs, and opera pieces. People who used to be in a band were doing well on their own, but their success came at a price. They stopped talking to each other and lost touch. From what we can tell, the two artists are not likely to record a duet anytime soon. They both said they were too busy to talk to each other all the time, so they stopped talking about much of anything. There were no calls from either side, even over the holidays. How could being so busy have made them lose touch so much? Did they fight behind each other's backs? They've been friends since 2006, and the excuse that they lost touch because of work doesn't make a lot of sense. At first they broke up because they wanted to try something new, but their own tastes were also a big part of it. He or she also no longer needed the other person. Was their friendship just a business deal, or did Jonathan's situation play a role? Jonathan has always had trouble with his weight, and his trip to America didn't help him lose weight. He lost track of what was important to him in American fast food society, and his weight got out of hand. Jonathan was determined to live a healthier life, so he cut back on carbs and started working out. But at first Jonathan wasn't always the same. Later he became more consistent by making it a habit to walk 10,000 steps every day, even if it meant going back and forth in one room. I lost a lot of weight. He knows he has a long way to go, but doesn't plan to stop. In the same way that Jonathan takes care of his body, he also knows how to take care of his mind. Jonathan was diagnosed with autism not long after his birthday in 2022. This is one reason why it can be hard for him to make friends. He instead takes his whole family with him on trips, and they help him stay grounded. Because he had autism, he had to deal with being shy for a lot of his life. Jonathan has become fully in control of himself now that he knows about his autism. Charlotte was a big part of helping him get there early on. Do you think he and Charlotte would sing together again?